Greg Ehresman, born and raised in Lafayette here, as well as my father, and have been coming to the XXX ever since we were kids. We started up going to school here in town, moved out into the country, and graduated from a high school called Benton Central out west of town. This was my first job. I was hounding my dad for money, wanted to make money, and he said, well, if I can find you work, will you do it? And I said, sure. So I got a job doing dishes at XXX, worked my way from age 13. I did not work my 17th year because it was my final year in high school. I wanted to play around and be in high school, so I didn't work my final year of high school. But from the time age 13 all the way through until the summer I turned 17, I learned how to do everything in the restaurant short of managing it and banking and doing those types of things. But I could cut all the meat. I knew where it was bought. I knew how to portion it. I knew the cost containment, cost controls, and all that kind of stuff that went on along with it. Started my own company. My first company, I think, at age 22. We were redoing apartment complexes for a big apartment firm out of Chicago. At one point we had 3,500 units that we took care of, and dissolved that corporation after about 2 years. Went and still stayed in business for myself, and then started doing custom work. At which point my dad had called and had the opportunity to buy the XXX. Wanted to know if I'd come back up and run it and become part owner. And I thought, you know, yeah, I'd love to do that. I tried to buy it when I was about 16 and a half, 17. I had $3,000 and I had all the money in the world, so that was all I needed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough, so that was fine. Came back up and been running it ever since. My dad, not we, at that time it was my dad and my mom, bought the property just on the verge of the business folding. It had been run into the ground and not well managed. No one was taking care of it. Managers were hiring assistant managers, and at that time there was a car hop service and 27 seats inside. So you can imagine trying to pay 3-tier management for root beer hamburger stand. It's just not chopstick stand, I should say. Can't support it. So we built it, grew it, kept working on it, got a lot of the purveyors back that had been doing business with the firm that I could remember when I was working there as a young man, and got the reputation built back up, and here we are going in our 31st year with it expanded, and a lot of notoriety. As a lot of things have changed, and some of them just recently. Be there, and be there.
Okay.
And that's overdoing it. You have to have a good knowledge of what's going on in the marketplace, and you have to know the area that you're trying to sell. You need a really good business plan, and part of what I said, first of all, you got to be there. To think that as a startup, and just kind of walking into an area and going, okay, this is what I think is going to happen. That's all well and good, but we're ready to lose it all. Back when my brother was still with the business and was still alive and in the business, I had entertained, through speaking with him, and then also another gentleman who cooked for me, who was in the RHI, at that time it was called the RHI program over here at Purdue. And we discussed going through and opening a XXX in every one of the Big Ten schools. So we were trying to put together, and he had run multiple units before, so he had a lot of knowledge in that, and I was really drawing from that, going, okay, how do we get this prototype built to make all these kinds of things work? And so it really got my fire lit to want to open a second place and see if I was basically smart enough to run two. Talk to our staff about service, and making sure, we talked to the front of the house staff about service, how you treat customers, re-educated them, went through it again and again and again and again, because when everybody's pocket is pinched, you can spend your money anywhere you want. And I knew that if we did the best that we could do and put our best foot forward and gave better service, were friendlier, and took care of our customers better than anyone else was going to take care of their customers, and not apologize for doing what we do. In other words, I'm not going to come out here and say, well, we've been getting $2.50 for this, but we're going to charge you $1.50 for it now. I'm not apologizing for what I sell. I sell a better product than anybody else out there, and I'm not going to stand down from that. So the only way I've got to combat this is I've got a better product than anyone. Hold your head up high, but service. Bring that forward. Make sure that they know without a doubt when they walk in the door that they're going to be taken care of and taken care of well.
I'm here in West Lafayette, Indiana. You know, the home of Purdue University? And two things come to mind. One, how did the Boilermakers really get their name? And two, what in the world would they be serving at a place called the XXX Drive-In?
I'm setting up in this office today because of it. The root beer company that we were able to purchase 2.5 years ago is because of the Food Network. That hit our business so hard that that show aired in June, so mid-year. So we had exposure for 6 months out of the year. It pulled my whole year up that first year, 48 points.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God. You hanging on to that strength of growth that fast, man, I'll tell you what, it's like trying to lasso chickens. I don't know, it's enhanced all of my employees' lives. It's enhanced my wife and I's life, my dad's life. It's changed, and it's just been amazing. It's been amazing. You know, the one aspect of going into business for yourself is stress level.
Yeah.
It's fun sometimes. I mean, there's days it's just like, you have got to be kidding me, not again. I said, we got $2,000 left in the bank. I said, what do you want to sell first? You know, and you talk about ready to have a heart attack. 2 days later, they opened up the side streets coming up and down both sides of the XXX. We had just enough money to squeak out. I got a signature loan for, I think, $5,000 or $6,000. Had enough money to get payroll cut and get the bills paid enough to get food coming in for the next week. And then it started to kind of turn around.